Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Greenskins, gonna be taking on Norsca, so let's get to the army compositions. Of course, Wurzag, the Great Green Prophet, gonna be leading the way for my force. He's got Fists of Gork, and Here We Go, as well as Brain Bursta with the Bonewood Staff, of course, as well as the Squiggly Beast. We've got Effigy to get to snare in place. Frontline is going to consist of 4 Savage Orc Biggins. We've also got a Broken Tusk Mob to support the rear, 2 Skulkers, 1 on each flank, the Warlord's Boys, as well as the 8 Peak Loonies, 2 units of Goblins. We've got the Death's Creepers and Morgub's Mangy Marauders up front, some Spider Riders and Wolf Riders scattered around as well. For the Norskins we're up against, we're facing the dreaded double Mammoth. Actually, maybe not so dreaded, but Marauder Chieftain on a Mammoth. We've also got the Soul Crusher here. Front line of Marauders, as you would expect, nice and cheap. He's also got a few Berserkers, as well as 2 Norscan Trolls. No Ice Trolls, just regular old Trolls. And these guys actually have pretty good combat stats, 35 and 33, if only their leadership wasn't just so subpar. More Berserkers in the back. He's got a Shaman Sorcerer Lore of Death with Spirit Leech, Fate of Una, and Purple Sun, as well as a couple of Marauder Horsemasters. So without further ado, let's get the battle rolling. You can see we're going to be doing a bit of a skirmish. The Wolf Riders and Spider Riders trying to fire in here. Of course, the Javelins returning fire, picking off a few. But in general, we should be able to do some good skirmish damage against these Marauders, or this Marauder Chieftain here and the Soul Crusher. Double Mammoth, definitely pretty scary, but Mammoths, you know, for how expensive they are, they're very large targets, and they have decent-ish stats, but they just seem like they don't really perform super well. I guess we'll see in this battle, but yeah. Can see them pushing up through the forest here. We're going to get caught up a little bit, but mostly we'll be able to stay out in front. A few models do get caught by the Mammoths there, but Spider Riders is going to kind of be thrown in here to interrupt and bog up a lot of the Norscan forces. If we can isolate these Mammoths away from the Norscan support, it'll be much more advantageous, and it'll make it much easier to take them down. Greenskins can sometimes have problems taking down big armored monsters, but the Mammoths are one that I find, because they only have 70 armor, which isn't that much, they actually are not that hard for something like Savage Orc Biggins to take down. You can see we're going to cast Fists of Gork and once again just run in with these Forest Goblin Spider Riders with their juiced up melee stats. Holy cow. Man, they're up to like 60 melee attack, 57 melee defense. Unfortunately, their leadership doesn't hold up there, so yeah, they just get routed off. But that being said, this has more or less succeeded in at least isolating the Soul Crusher here, so you can see it's popped the Enrage to give it some damage resistance, but we are going to hit it with the Effigy to get to pin it in place, and then the pop the Wah as well. So the Nasty Skulkers, the Savage Orc Biggins coming in here to fight the Mammoth. You can see poor Mammoth Boy's taking some damage. He's going to start doing some splash attacks as well. But all across the front line, you can see Savage Orc Biggins. They will just wreck Norscan Ice Trolls. And despite the fact the Mammoth is a pretty scary anti-infantry monster, he's fighting in the forest, number 1, which is going to favor the infantry greatly, and number 2, he's also saturated in the middle of these Savage Orc Biggins, 8 Peak Loonies, he's got Gobos wailing on him. We're dropping magics left and right as well to make sure we keep that Bonewood Staff active. Now the Wah is worn off. So yeah, doesn't look like it actually maybe proc from that, but anyway, you can see the Soul Crusher did get routed off there. The Broken Tusk Mob able to come in and support. We also drop an Here We Go in this pocket as well to make sure that all these guys are just hitting at peak performance. We want to finish this Mammoth off completely as quickly as possible. You can see the Norscan Trolls being routed off, and that is going to allow the Savage Biggins to get in here and start just tearing apart these Marauders. The Gobbo's also doing a great job here. The Warlord's Boys. The Marauders trying to push through to get some support to the Mammoth, but unfortunately there's just way too many Savage Biggins. Wurzag himself helping to take down the Soul Crusher. And at this point, the Marauder Chieftain's not faring much better. He's being engaged by Nasty Skulkers who've got Fists of Gork up, so they've got crazy good combat stats as well. And the Bonewood Staff and Opportunist Murder, everything just synergizing together to make these Nasty Skulkers incredibly scary, and the Savage Orcs as well, just tearing apart these Marauder infantry. Savage Orc Biggins are one of the few infantry that can just toe-to-toe with Marauder Berserkers pretty decently. That being said, the Mammoth is going to come in. There's just so much greenskin infantry here that they're just tearing into the Mammoth from every angle. That's one of the bigger issues I find for the Mammoth, is because it has such a big hitbox, a lot of unit models can get attack animations onto it at the same time. So you can see like probably 20 or 30 unit models are all in base contact here at the same time. Granted, a lot of them are being wrecked, but still, all the ones like in this back arc, for example, are just getting huge damage. We're going to go ahead and juice up with another Fist of Gork here. You can see 106 on these Savage Orc Biggins between the Bonewood Staff and the Fist of Gork. Or, sorry, here we go there. So, yeah. Greenskins, one of those factions that you do not want to take a frontline engagement with. If you just go heads up with them, you're going to get crushed. Soul crushed, you might say. But anyway, yeah, you can see the Mammoth making its last stand here, just swarming orcs and gobos all around. Wurzag comes in to finish things off here, and a Brain Burster in the distance just for good measure. That is going to shatter the last of the Norscan forces, and it'll be a quick victory for the Greenskins. So, fun battle. Well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. This is one of the tougher matchups I find for Norsca, just because, again, it's one of the few matchups you can't go toe-to-toe. If you try and go 1v1 with Greenskins in the front line, you're just going to get destroyed. Just absolutely mashed on. So, yeah. In terms of the army breakdown here, you can see 73, 82, 88, 31 XP chevrons to go around on all the Savage Orc Biggins. Well, not all of them, 2 of them, but still. The Broken Tusk Mob, only 13 kills, but they did finish off the Soul Crusher. The same thing with the Skirmish Cav here. They were more or less supporting against that Mammoth the whole time. Nasty Skulkers also did some nice contributions, taking down the Mammoth. Wurzag himself getting 8 kills from some Brain Bursters in various pockets, but the more important thing is his support buffs. Just such a powerful support character, probably the most powerful support character in the game, just because the Bonewood Staff is map wide, and it's a substantial melee attack buff. It's like plus 13 melee attack or something like that. It's super strong, so yeah, Wurzag definitely a very strong pick in this matchup. What could Norsca do to potentially counter this matchup? Number one thing is, I think you want to try and not just face rush the Greenskins. So if we go ahead and take a look here, Norsca versus the Green Tide. So Wolfric's pretty solid pick here. On the horse especially, it gives him some good mobility. He's got pretty decent armor as well. The Sea Fang, of course, is very good. Fight or Die is also nice. And Hunter of Champions will let you try and take Wurzag out. In terms of your army, I think in this matchup you need to go pretty mobile. Marauder Horsemen are probably a good option here, because you can kind of contest the mobility game and, you know, help see off the Wolf Riders, Spider Riders, things like that, Skirmish Cav. And then you're also probably going to want some Wolves, the good old kennel here with the Beast of Tashnar and some Norscan Ice Wolves. The Famir Miststalkers are pretty much an auto pick for me in just about every matchup. Although here you'll want to hold them in reserve until the appropriate moment, so that you can bring them in with a massive terror bomb, because of course they do cause terror, and they have stock, so you can keep them more or less hidden until the right moment. In terms of a caster, we're probably going to want to go with a Famir. The question is, do we go with a Famir Balefiend of Fire or of Shadows? I guess you could go with a Shaman Sorcerer Lore of Fire, or with a Lore of Metal to try and snipe out with like a Final Transmutation, but I think a Lore of Shadows or a Lore of Fire is going to be better. Personally, because of the Greenskins' lower leadership, I'll probably take Lore of Fire here. We're going to take Cascading Fire Cloak, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and the Burning Head. The Flaming Sword of Ruin, of course, will help your troops cut through the physical resistance of Savage Orcs, so if they happen to bring Savage Orc Biggins, the magic damage there will definitely help. In terms of the front line, probably just go a little bit cheap on Marauders and keep these guys back as far as possible, as long as possible, and really just contest the mobility game as much as you can. To that effect, you know, I might recommend the Maws of Savagery here, but they're so underwhelming for what you get out of them. They might be decent in this matchup, but again, if you get them onto Savage Orcs, they're going to get hit pretty hard. So let's get a bit of an off-meta pick here and grab a Frostworm. So a Frostworm, it has a breath attack, number one. Pretty powerful breath attack, and it also, I believe, applies Frostbite. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But it also has Frostbite in melee and this Chilling Aura, which means it can just wreck opponents' speed and pretty much immobilize them completely. So it's very good in that mobility type game. It also has 90 speed itself, so it's very good for helping support like the Marauders, the Wolves, to catch enemy Skirmish Cav. And then once you've taken the mobility advantage and the Greenskins don't have any more high mass units, then the Frostworm becomes an absolute menace in the cycle charging department. I mean, obviously, how much you want to cycle charge is up to you, how much you feel that that's abusive, but I mean, if you do take all of your opponent's mobile units, they're not going to have any sort of response to that, so maybe worth taking in that respect. Yeah, in terms of the rest of the army, we've still got about, what, 1,200 points, so maybe another unit of Famir warriors. Unfortunately, we can't afford the great weapons, but Famir in general are just a pretty strong unit overall. Maybe you want to try and take some skin wolves, although, again, I'm not super crazy about them. So maybe I'll just go with something else, maybe like, maybe a couple Marauder Spearmen, although they'll just get cut through in the front line. Decisions. I guess we could go with like some more wolves or something to help contest the mobility game. I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of spitballing at this point, but I have found this matchup to be pretty tough for Norsca. So the Frostworm is one monster that I actually haven't tried, and I haven't seen tried, but just my gut instinct tells me if you're able to secure the mobility game, that this Frostworm could potentially become a nightmare for the Greenskins to try and deal with. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What kind of build would you take as Norsca versus Greenskins? Have you had any success with different specific builds? Let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.